What is up, everyone, and welcome back to another video. And today I'm here to talk about a little quick what if theory on Better Call Saul season 6 episode 10 titled NIPPY. And as a warning, there will be spoilers for everything Better Call Saul. And with that out the way, the scene I want to focus on is towards the end of the episode, where Gene is distracting the security guard while Jeff is getting the remaining items from the mall. And how the scene plays out is that Jeff slips and gets knocked out, but Gene manages to keep the guard from looking at the cameras by exaggerating an emotional breakdown long enough for Jeff to regain consciousness and finish the job undetected. And this scene was definitely the most suspenseful because unlike the Better Call Saul timeline, which is a prequel, the Gene timeline takes place after Breaking Bad. So it would have been a very real possibility that anything could have happened that night, from Jeff being knocked out and getting caught, or even Jeff falling and cracking his head open like a melon. And in this video, I want to explore both of these possibilities. And if you could leave a like on this video and consider subscribing to stay up to date with the latest content, you'll forever be gifted with the greatest theories and speculation about Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul on the entire interwebs of YouTube. So let's get into scenario number 1. Jeff gets caught. So in this theory, everything plays out exactly the same, but when Jeff falls and Gene reacts by choking on his coffee, I'd like to imagine that almost like a reflex, Frank, the security guard, turns around to look at the cameras, and when he spots Jeff, he immediately calls for backup. And a few moments later, Jeff regains consciousness and he's surrounded by police officers. And while he's getting cuffed, he spots Gene getting in his car speeding away. And Jeff's mind is still a little foggy due to, falling on his head, but an hour passes and his mind clears up and he tells the cops everything about Gene/Saul. And while that's happening, Gene is halfway done packing, only getting the essentials like his little box of Saul memorabilia and his suitcases. And as he's putting the bags in his car, he's approached by a plainclothes police officer and says,
"James Morgan McGill, you're under arrest,"
as he points his gun at Gene. And Gene, with a look of defeat on his face, exhales and just puts his hands up, ending the theory with Saul going to jail. Now, this is something that I see a lot of people hoping to be Saul's fate, that he ends up in prison and he goes to give his fellow inmates legal advice. And yeah, I can see that happening. But let me know in the comments if you agree with the whole Gene goes to jail due to Jeff getting caught what if possibility theory, and if you agree with it. Then we have scenario 2. Jeff dies, which again plays out the same way, but instead of Jeff falling and getting back up, when Jeff goes down, after 30 seconds, there's a pool of blood that surrounds his head. And when Gene sees that on the camera, he panics and considers letting Frank know. And in the middle of his thinking, Frank looks at the monitors and he sees Jeff on the floor bleeding, and he calls for backup and runs over to Jeff's location. And Gene is right by his side, and in his mind he's hoping that Jeff bled out enough to be dead, but he wouldn't know for sure until they see him. And when they get to Jeff, Frank checks his pulse and said that he has a weak pulse but he's still alive, and then says that he needs to let the police in, and he leaves Gene with Jeff on the floor. And when Frank is out of sight, Gene looks at Jeff and put both hands around his neck and begins to squeeze until Jeff no longer has a pulse. And as Frank and the police arrive, they see Gene is broken into another exaggerated cry about how he couldn't save him, and he really sells it. And Frank ends up pulling Gene off to comfort him and tells him he should probably get going. And Gene asks both Frank and the police if they still need him, and they both insist that he's okay and he can leave, and if they need to talk to him, they know where to find him, and they point at his Cinnabon uniform. So Gene leaves, and when he makes it home, he calls Ed to disappear and informs him of the situation that he found himself in, and they arrange a place to meet up the next day, and once again, Gene is relocated. Now, with both of these theories, I like how they can range from either ending the series or even spinning off into a whole nother series altogether. Either way, I just love answering the age-old question of what if? But that'll do it for this video. I mainly made this theory because I just did not like what they did with the character of Jeff with the whole recast and rewrite, and if I can kill him off, this is how I do it. But I want to hear from you guys in the comments. Do you agree with either of these theories, or if you have your own what if theory, I'd love to read it. Whatever it is, comment down below and let me know, and I'll do my best to respond. Until then, my name is Merge. Later.